We hear people talk about Job season all the time, but I feel like the part that we overlook or gloss over is the part where his friends, the people he loved and trusted, were not giving him the wise counsel that he really needed during that time, even down to his health. And Job had no idea why he was experiencing so much hardship, and neither did the people around him. But instead of pointing him to God and reminding him of who God was and how God operates, they begin to accuse him, even making statements that insinuated that he must have done something to deserve all that he is experiencing. And this just highlights the importance of who you listen to when you are in your season of suffering and hardship. Because some people, even without intentionally doing it, can push you off the ledge thinking that they're doing you a favor. Because ultimately, instead of pushing Job closer to God, they were ultimately condemning him further away from God. And I'm not even sure if they realized it. And from our perspective, reading the story, we knew and know that Job was blameless as he said he was. But from his friend's perspective, if you let them tell the story, he deserved everything that he got. And there was something that he was not telling people and that he was keeping a secret, which is why he was suffering the way that he was, which was the furthest thing from the truth. They were painting this picture of God as the type of God who punishes you because of what you've done, who makes you suffer because of something that you've done. And God did not like his character being misrepresented in a way that was not aligned with the truth. We even see that when God finally gets to restore Job, he condemns those friends for how they represented him and not speaking the truth about who he was. And that's why I think the last speech given by Elihu is a great example of people who point you to God in the midst of your hardship. He was able to remind Job of who God was and how God operates, perfectly preparing him for then God to now speak directly to Job, who also reminded him of who he was, how he operates, and the true character of his heart. They were able to help Job shift his perspective from focusing solely on what he did or did not do to now looking at God and how God moves and what God does and does not do. And it's a great example of how when we finally shift the focus off of ourselves, when we're experiencing hardship and trying to figure out why these things are happening to us and what did we do to deserve these things, and start to focus on who God is according to his word, what God has promised, what God says he will do, what God says he won't do, we then begin to get a perspective that leads us closer to the restoration that we're seeking. It really truly shows the process of how sometimes the suffering and the affliction that we are faced with is building our character to be relentlessly aligned with God and who God truly is, to focus our attention and our trust in God no matter what we are up against. A faith so unshakable that even false accusations don't move us. And the best part about it is when Job finally got to this place, God restored everything times 2. He received double for his trouble. So if you are in a season where you feel like everything is coming against you and you don't understand and the people around you don't understand, turn your focus to God, align with God, seek God, and be prepared, because he is preparing you to receive a restoration that's bigger than you can imagine.